once again, the U.S. is pushing China's button, this time calling for more meaningful participation of Taiwan in the United Nations. Officially, Washington recognizes Taiwan as part of China, although recently it has been using the island's separatist ambitions as a tool to antagonize Beijing. RT's Alex Mihailovich has that story.
The status of Taiwan is a topic that some say was resolved decades ago. But in recent years, the United States has rehashed the issue, using it as a part of an aggressive policy towards China. In 1979, the U.S. adopted the One China policy, in which it acknowledges Beijing's claim that Taiwan is an inseparable part of China. Around the same time, the U.S. Congress passed the Taiwan Relations Act, which obliges the U.S. to supply weapons to the island for self-defense purposes. However, many would say the One China policy was maintained as the pillar of Sino-American relations. Although America's inconsistent stance on Taiwan has been an irritant to Beijing over the decades, recently it has changed to something more alarming. Under the Trump administration, the U.S. unapologetically increased ties with Taiwan, boosting weapons sales and independent trade, as well as increasing diplomatic ties with the government in Taipei. Adding insult to injury, now Washington has suggested that the island, which it recognizes as a part of China, should participate in the United Nations in the same way independent states do.
We support Taiwan's ability to participate meaningfully at the UN and to contribute its valuable expertise to address many of the global challenges we face.
Some say that although the U.S. would like its position to seem altruistic, it is in fact playing a geopolitical game in which it is putting the people of Taiwan in danger. The Biden administration has continued utilizing Taiwan as a pawn as it extends Trump's tough on China approach. China has seen this as a direct violation of its agreement with the United States regarding Taiwan and has reiterated the message over and over again.
Taiwan region's participation in international activities must be handled in accordance with the One China principle. Taiwan attempts to boost its influences in the world, but such attempts will fail. China urges the United States to abide by the One China principle. 3 Sino-U.S. Joint Communique, International General Assembly Resolution 2758, stop official interaction with Taiwan. Stop making irresponsible remarks, refrain from sending the wrong signal to Taiwan independent forces in any form, and supporting Taiwan authorities in expanding its space, and avoid doing anything that would undermine peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait.
Ignoring much of what China is saying, Washington has responded with what can only be described as another mixed message. Here's U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd addressing NATO just days ago.
I'll say it again. We remain committed to our One China policy in keeping with the Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 assurances, and the 6 communiques. As we've done over multiple administrations, we'll continue to help Taiwan with the sorts of capabilities that it needs to defend itself, and so we'll stay focused on those things.
The continued onslaught against Beijing regarding the Taiwan issue is pushing China into a corner from which it will have to react sooner or later. Although China's government has always talked about a peaceful reunification with the island, it has not ruled out military force. As for the government in Taipei, they have welcomed America's support, and their leader has said that she has faith that the U.S. would defend the island from China if necessary. A perception that may be tested if Washington persists with its ambiguous Taiwan policy that is helping raise tension in the Asia-Pacific region. For In Question, I'm Alex Mihailovich.
All right, for analysis of this, we'll go to former UK MP George Galloway. So, George, Antony Blinken called Taiwan, quote, a democratic success story, but stopped short of calling the island a country. Now he wants them to join the UN. Thoughts on that?
Well, I think all these things are actually placing Taiwan in very great danger. The Chinese leadership must be weighing in the balance. If this trajectory of U.S. policy continues, they might not ever be able to achieve the peaceful reunification of the homeland. And a unified homeland, everyone, until very recently, absolutely agreed. The maps drawn by the victorious powers, one of which was China, under Chiang Kai-shek, whose picture was on the wall of the Taiwan legislature that you just showed a minute ago, put Taiwan indisputably as a part of one China. The international law is clear. The United Nations recognition is clear. The American one China policy is clear. But if you are claiming to maintain the one China policy whilst making two Chinas more likely, encouraging separatist and independence forces, arming them to the teeth, backing them diplomatically, I've got to tell you, you're making it much more likely that China will act to reunify their country while they still can, before the United States is in any position meaningfully to defend Taiwan.
Well, George, as you said, the U.S. says they stand behind the one China policy. However, they maintain direct and unencumbered trade relations and defense deals with Taiwan. I mean, is the U.S. just simply trying to have it both ways, and can they?
Yes, it's Alice in Wonderland. Words mean exactly what I decide that they mean. It's like me saying I recognize the one United States whilst arming and boosting California separatism or San Diego separatism. That would be more comparable. It's like me sending cruise missiles to San Diego whilst maintaining that I accept that the United States is one country. And if you look at it through the other fellow's glasses, then you will see exactly how absurd this all sounds. Now, from China's point of view, they don't know how far this is going to go. We now know there are American military forces on Taiwan. What if the United States sends hundreds of thousands of American military forces to Taiwan, thus threatening the one China that everybody says that they accept? So the day might be coming closer when China decides to act, and that would be a great pity, because China always believed that Taiwan would become like a ripe apple that would one day fall from the tree and everything would be hunky-dory. But the U.S. Zigzag from the Trump era, continued now by the oh-so-liberal Joe Biden and Antony Blinken, is making that very much more questionable.
And lastly, George, on the part of Taiwan, they seem awful certain that the U.S. would back them against aggression from the mainland. Is this simply hubris, or are they receiving some sort of back channel, behind-the-scenes assurances from the U.S. that, I think for many people, they might think that Taiwan is being used as a pawn?
Well, they should consult the former leader of Afghanistan. I've already forgotten his name, Ashraf Ghani. They should ask him what those American assurances were worth. I've got to tell you, I don't believe the United States will fight a world war with China over a small piece of land called Taiwan that they have long recognized as being part of China anyway. And if the Taiwan leadership believes otherwise, I've got a bridge here in London that I could sell them going cheaply. They are indeed being used as pawns, and they'll be abandoned just as quickly as Ashraf Ghani found to his cost, and as I believe the Ukrainian leadership would find at their cost. So people should beware of being used as a cat's paw against America's enemy, because that cat's paw can quite easily be bitten off and no one will do anything about it.
Very well put, as always. Our friend George Galloway, thank you so much.